Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running and nationally syndicated radio talk show for computers and technology. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Ben Crossman, and hope all of you are having a great day because we have a great show planned for you. And so, yeah, you can, of course, join us and listen in. And we have Sandy Berger joining us. She is a regular correspondent here on the program. And she, of course, is a consumer electronics expert. So printers, digital cameras, smartphones, things like that. She has you covered. So we have a couple of topics, and you may have noticed that, despite the title of today's show, which I should probably get verbatim, she is not going to be giving relationship advice. I believe today's show is Sandy Berger, consumer electronics expert, talks love, loss, and heartbreak. And I say that because hopefully she loves the printer we're going to be talking about today. She lost her phone, and she may be heartbroken that, MoviePass may not be sticking around. So, it all ties in nicely, and I am a brilliant title maker. So, with all that being said, why don't we go ahead and get started here. Oh, actually, before that, computeramerica.com, link to compukiss.com, as well as other of Sandy's works. You can also find the social media giveaway there, and you can find the live video stream there, also available on Twitch. Or, hey, you can always listen to us live on IRN. So, with all of that being said, let's go ahead and bring Sandy on. So like I said, very prolific author, writer, and just all-around great person. Sandy, welcome back onto Computer America.
Hi, Ben. It's great to be here again this time.
Yeah, I am. And it's okay if you miss one or two, but we always like having you on. And like I said, we have a number of things to talk about that, you have actually tried out firsthand, and that's another reason that we like you is that you actually get down in the nitty gritty. You don't just read the press releases. You actually spend time with this, and that's something becoming more and more unique in the tech review industry. So, before we get started, if you wouldn't mind, give people a little bit of a background on who you are, what you do.
Oh, well, I'm a tech person. I've been in technology for 30 some years and just absolutely still love it. I like everything about it. I like keeping up with the speed and with which technology changes. I'm a journalist, so I write about technology, and my website is compukiss.com, which I invite you all over to see. I'm in the throes right now of reinventing the website. It is close to 15 years old, which I can't believe. And we've had updates along the way, but coming up hopefully very soon will be a big update. So I invite you all to come over there in the next couple weeks and have a visit.
And just don't give too much away. But what have you decided to kind of do? Because when it comes to websites, we've had sponsors in the past such as Wix. We currently use WordPress ourselves. I mean, there are options out there.
There are a lot of options. I've been using WordPress for my blog for years, probably since WordPress started. But in any case, the main part of my website is written in Joomla, which you now know is now kind of antiquated. I mean, it's still viable, but it's much more complicated and more time consuming than anything else. And it's more restrictive. So I'll be changing the entire website over to WordPress over the next couple weeks.
Yeah, we found the same thing ourselves, and a lot of tools have been created to take all the content so you don't lose a single article, and it's all just it's all just taken, and it's really, really simple. We did not regret doing it. So, hey, looking forward to it. Looking forward to
Okay.
it indeed. So, let's go ahead and get started with our topics today. And as we said, we'll start with, maybe you love it. Maybe I went out on a limb, but HP, they're a pretty reputable company. I think people have heard of them, and they make printers. But you have one here. I think this is one of their newer ones. Tell us about the HP Envy 7855.
Okay. Well, I hate to have you out on a limb, but I didn't absolutely love this printer. Sorry. HP, as you know, is one of the biggest printer manufacturers, and everybody knows HP. Millions of people own HP printers. When they first came out, they were super fantastic, lasted for years and years, and were wonderful machines. And even after that, the last few years, they've been very good. But recently, I've had trouble with HP printers, and this particular 7855 Envy is also one of them that I've had some difficulties with. But that said, it is an inexpensive printer that does a good job at what it does, which is basically printing text and easy photos. It does have a photo tray, but I wouldn't count it as a photo printer. If you want to really print something that's going to do a great job on printers, there are a lot of better choices out there. If you're looking for an everyday printer, the Envy is good. It's 15 page per minute black, 10 page per minute color. It's got a very nice 2.7-inch color touchscreen. Copies, where you can make up to 50 copies at a time. It's got a fax, which most people don't use anymore, but it's still a nice feature. And basically, it does a very good job. Its duty cycle is rated up to 1,000 pages, but I don't think you want to put it through that much. I think if you're in the 300 to 400 page range, that's how much you print in a month. This printer will do you well.
And so far we've heard a lot about this printer, about for the price, for it does things well, it's good enough for an everyday printer, blah blah blah. It sounds like it's an okay printer, but in your mind, before we even get into the specifics, in your mind, what are you kind of comparing it to that it seems to fall short in a couple categories?
Well, see, it's the but that you put in there when you said it's a good printer, but
right.
I always look at the overall printer, and this printer is not quiet. It's not one of the loudest I've heard, but it's definitely not quiet. The setup instructions are pretty poor. I don't know in my lifetime how many hundreds of printers I have set up.
Right.
I always look at the setup instructions because different printers have different quirks and might want you to do one thing before the other, whatever. I will say I looked at these setup instructions and I thought, oh my gosh, the average person is going to have a little difficulty with these. I knew what I was doing. I followed the setup instructions as they were. Setup for me was easy. But the real problem with the printer is that there have been several people who have had Spectrum modems, and it's having trouble working with some Spectrum modems. Now, on top of that, I've had two of these printers lose their connection. In other words, you install a printer, you use it for a month or for 3 months or for 5 months, and suddenly it's not connecting anymore. The instructions given on the HP website, how to do that, what to do in that case, indicate that they have that case quite a bit. So the connectivity is really a problem. Now, I have one printer, and this is a different HP that also has connectivity problems. So in the past 2 years or so, year and a half, I've seen more and more connectivity problems with HP printers. By that, Ben, I mean wireless problems.
Right.
You can almost always set them up, with an Ethernet cable or a printer cable, but the wireless connection is a little flaky.
Yeah, and I guess that's a very strange thing because when it comes to Wi-Fi, when it comes to Wi-Fi routers and just wireless connectivity in general, I've found through a lot of different devices, be they computers or other routers or a lot of different things, it's only gotten easier. And for you to say that about about a printer, a known technology, like you're not trying to reroute NASA here. Uh, do you think it's just the fact that maybe HP is cutting corners when it comes to the user interface, or
I hadn't really thought about that. Why, theirs wouldn't be as simple as plug and play.
right?
Why the setup instructions seemed a little unusual, like, am I supposed to do this from the printer? Am I supposed to do this from the computer? That sort of thing. When in general, it should be very easy. But I never thought of it from that angle. Why is HP doing that? I think it's just maybe lack of attention to what they're doing, because I can't think of any real reason why they would do something like that. And obviously, if they have printers that have connectivity problems, that's something in the build or whatever of the printer. So I'm not sure they even know why or what problems they have.
So and it may just be one of the situations where it's a race to I hate to say it, but it's a race to the bottom. It's a race to get cheaper components, quicker builds, cheaper printers. So because consumers, when they go look for a printer, and maybe it's their first printer or they just need an everyday printer, it's going to be the one that has the most attractive price. It's not going to be the one with the best features or the best reviews. It's going to be all about the price. So
Right.
maybe it's something along those lines. I can only speculate, but
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It could be. This printer is selling for at Best Buy Staples that I've seen $129. So it's a very good price for a capable machine. And if not for the connectivity problems, even with the setup instructions, I'd probably say it's a good printer. But with these problems, and the thing is, I had one printer that I actually took from place to place, because in my home the 7855 printer
mhm,
worked seamlessly with my on-hub Google router and my modem, which I also own.
right,
But yet I took it to another place where they had a Spectrum modem and it wouldn't get online, and took it to another place where it went online, but then it flaked out quite a bit. So there's something going on.
well, and you can't put it past other people's hardware as well. We recently had problems with with that company, and it's but things should play nicely. It's I hate to use the phrase, but it's 2018. Come on, what are you doing? It's kind of to that point where you can expect a printer of all things to hook up to a network, and a lot of other computers on the same network should be able to see it and print to it. But again, talking about the specifics of the print quality, yeah, you say that this maybe doesn't do the best photos, but the title of the printer is an HP Envy Photo
Photo,
7855. So
exactly. Yeah, I'm not saying it does bad on photos. It does a decent job. But if you want something that does an excellent job on printers, on photos, there's other printers out there. And yes, you're right. This has a photo tray,
right,
so it is made to be a photo printer. I think as far as doing pictures on this printer, I would say it's very good if you stick with the HP paper, their own glossy paper. Now, I tried it with a few other papers, even Epson papers and papers that I happen to have here, and it did not do as well. So maybe the key to the photo printing is to say, in this printer, if you want the very best quality, go ahead and stick to HP printer paper.
right, and I get. Let's see. I don't think it was HP. It was. Actually, maybe which printer company came out with EcoTank? I think that was
EcoTank is Epson.
Epson. That's right. So I mean, Epson's been seeing a lot of success with that. I know that this is an everyday printer. This is not something unique and economical, but just as far as ink cartridge size and things like that. I mean, are the ink cartridges up to par? Are they running out quickly? Things like that.
I think the ink cartridges are kind of on an average par. The one thing about the ink cartridges in this is that it's a tricolor. There's two cartridges, a tricolor cartridge and a black cartridge. This was a couple years ago was popular, and now they've come back out with it. I personally didn't like it, still don't like it, because if you run out of yellow ink, you have to do the tricolor, and you're actually wasting ink. But I have had a lot of people, well, not a lot, but some people who have said they really like having only two cartridges because there's only two cartridges to change and two cartridges to put in. And so I guess that's a matter of opinion on the cartridges themselves. Of course, HP is big on their instant ink, and that's what they're trying to sell with all their new printers, instant ink.
And instant ink, I assume, means that you could print something and touch it, and it won't, smudge or anything like that.
No, that's a good thing to think, though, because okay, you would think that.
Yeah.
Okay, but what it is that since the printer is hooked up to the internet, HP can actually see how many pages you're printing, and so what you do is you sign up with HP for a certain number of pages. For instance, it's $2.99 a month for 50 pages or $9.99 a month for 300 pages. And when you get near that 300 pages or whatever you chose, HP will send you the ink. So, and the price includes postage and everything else for the ink cartridges. So their point is that you're saving on ink and you're sure to never run out of ink, because when you get low, you'll always have the ink there.
So
this
a
whole
subscription
system
model
has its pluses and minuses. Yeah.
Right. So a subscription model for your printer.
Right.
I was just reading an article, I believe Tom's Hardware, saying that everything has a service now and it's getting too much. And he had a point with television, things like that. And then you say that now your printer has a subscription that you can sign up for. And right. I mean, 300 pages a month, or whatever the service was. I mean, that's something. But if this is going to be kind of on the lower end every day, do you think that people are really going to be using this thing for 300 pages a month? Is that punishing the system, or is that just kind of going to be acceptable for a unit like this?
I think it's acceptable for a unit like this. I think people are signing up for it. HP has a huge push for this. At Best Buy, they're giving the first month's ink free and all sorts of things. I know a fella that actually works for HP, and he was here in my area covering everything. Well, actually, he worked for Samsung, but he was covering everything Samsung, and he was covering HP. Well, he went to work directly for HP, and now all he does is sells instant ink. So they are really pushing this. Whether you like subscription models or not, I'm an old baby boomer, and we don't like subscription. For the most part, I can't talk for all baby boomers, but most of us do not like subscription fees, because we see that monthly fee going out and out and out, from music to whatever, and now ink, that we may or may not use.
More of the one-time purchase, right?
Yeah, this probably does save you some money, but if you want the most economical ink solution, get an Epson EcoTank, which is by far and away the most economical way to have an inkjet printer.
All right. And I think we're going to go ahead and, kind of wrap this one up. So, I mean, obviously HP, you can't say that they have never made a good printer. HP, they're very well known and make a lot of very good printers. But specifically, the HP Envy Photo 7855, kind of how would you kind of rate it?
I'd probably give it a C plus rating. It's, like I said, a good printer, but it's got some drawbacks. If I were you, because of the problems that they're having with certain modems, and I don't know if they've solved that or not yet,
Hmm.
but I would make sure that if you bought one of these, you would be able to return it if you couldn't get it online wirelessly.
All right. Yeah. No, a very good point. And yeah, that's harder to fix because obviously you're working with a lot of different hardware, and maybe for each individual product, HP doesn't want to kind of tinker with it. But hey, maybe they will. Maybe it's just a firmware update away, and
Right.
yeah, there you go. So I mean, we have talked about a lot of printers, and it's kind of hard, I think, just like it is for maybe a monitor or any other known piece of technology. It's hard to say, wow, that really knocked my socks off, because it's a printer. It's a printer. It's a monitor. It's a
Right. Right.
so. And kind of like kind of like a mouse. It's like, as long as it does its job and it does it well, it should get an A. So anything less than anything less than ideal is just going to pull away from it. So anyways, there you go, and we have a link to that in the show notes, and there you go. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to our second one, and this is the lost portion of the show. And I don't think that I've ever lost my phone. I mean, I've lost it for minutes at a time. One time it was under a truck. One time I dropped it in a pool. One
Under a
time,
truck?
well, it slipped. I was climbing into the truck. It was taller than usual. It slid out of my
Okay.
pocket onto the
Yeah.
driveway. The truck parked on it. I lost it for 10 minutes. It left. It was under the tire. Anyways, I left it out in the rain. I have been abusive to my phones, but I don't think I've ever had a situation where it's been in someone else's hands and they wanted to potentially take information off of it or sell it, or who knows what. I've always just destroyed my own phones. Um, you said that you lost your phone. What happened?
Yep.
And what happened?
Well, actually, this was my husband's phone, but he came home one night. He's a realtor. He does very, very heavy use on the phone, and he came home, and everything was fine. He was very late, so he had been working hard, using the phone a lot in
Hmm.
various places, and got up the next morning and couldn't find it. And this is something you don't ever think is going to happen, or you think, oh, okay, it has slipped between the car seats,
Right.
or under the car seat, or under the sofa cushions, or whatever. You'll find it very easily. Well, in the past, it has always been very easy to find. This was one instance that it wasn't. Since we still haven't found it around the house, I have to assume that he lost it out in the open someplace. But I also can't assume that anybody tried to get at the information or anything like
Okay.
that. Might have fallen out of his pocket someplace, or who knows what happened to it. The thing is, we had Find Your Phone on there. Um, and the thing is that the phone was dead. So the location services didn't work.
That makes a difference. And just to be clear, so that means it was an iPhone.
No, actually,
Oh.
it was an Android phone.
Oh. Okay.
It was a fairly new Note 8.
Okay.
So
So
very sad, very sad to lose that.
and I guess a couple of things go through your mind. So you can't find it. Location services aren't going to be on. You could go a number of different ways with it. I mean, just as hopefully once the panic died down, what's your first course of action after you lose a phone?
Well, after you think that you're not going to find it, or you're not going to find it quickly, because, like I said, my husband's a realtor. He can't live without his phone. I mean, to go 12 hours without the phone would be dramatic to him.
Hmm.
Luckily, we had purchased the phone at AT&T, and we purchased insurance with it. And that's one of the things I would advise people to do, especially if you've got a newer phone or you're tied to the phone. So we were going to just go online and see what we could do with the insurance, and decided to go into the AT&T store and have them help us with it. and it was a very easy thing to have them contact the insurance company, who immediately turned the phone off and sent us a new phone within 24 hours.
That's impressive.
So yes, I was extremely impressed with AT&T. The service was phenomenal. The insurance was great. Of course, we had to pay a fee, and it's a fee that goes down depending on how long you've owned the phone. But I was still thrilled that I didn't have to worry about anybody getting the information off the phone, and that I could actually have it within 24 hours. It was phenomenal.
And just be clear, I mean, you said that all the information, like all the contacts and messages and things like that, were on the phone that you received.
No,
Oh.
received a phone, and actually it was not totally set up. It had so I put the SIM card in, but it wasn't registered. So I wound up having to take it back to AT&T to have them authorize it, or whatever you call it. And so I've got a lot of things I can tell people that they should do, definitely, in case this ever happens to them. And the first thing is to make sure that all your information on the phone is backed up. We use the Samsung backup on the phone and Find My Phone. Both were excellent. Now, since we use Gmail, and all that was in Gmail, but the Google or the Samsung Find My Device, there was a Samsung Find My Device. Had the phone not been dead, we could have gone to the Samsung. I did go to the Samsung site, and from there you can have the phone ring. You can lock it. You can erase the data. You can back it up. You can even retrieve your last, I think it was your last 100 text messages and messages that came in. You can extend the battery life so that if you fear that it's getting low, you can turn it into low mode. I mean, what you could do through that was, I thought, fantastic. So everything was backed up. It took a couple hours to bring everything down. Just a totally an experience I never want to go through again. However, an experience that turned out very well, because we got his phone back, we got him up and running, and everything was good in the end.
Yeah, it's one of the situations where, like you said, you don't want to go through again, but it happens every day to people all over, I'm sure all over the world. And it's, that's actually very interesting from Samsung. We hear a lot about privacy concerns, but to hear that they back up that much information, that kind of gets you, not, of course you're going to lose some things, but, gets you something back on your phone so you can kind of pick up where you left off. That's pretty
Yes,
impressive.
yes. And I found out after the fact, that there's also a Google Find My Device. And the Google Find My Device will play a sound and rings the device for 5 minutes, even if the device ringer is turned off, which is amazing that they can do that. So if you have just turned the ringer off because you were just in church or someplace in some meeting, you can actually play a sound. Now, I can have Alexa or my Google Home Assistant. I can have either of those guys call my phone and ring it if the ringer's turned on. But if the ringer's turned off, it doesn't work. So the Google Find My Device, which is under Android Device Manager or Google Device Manager, that is something that you might want to do. Another thing you definitely want to do is keep the ringer on whenever you can. Be sure you set up Find My Phone, which I had set up on the Samsung phone. Keep the location services on. A lot of people think they're being traced or whatever, but hey, if you ever want to find that phone, you got to have the location services on. And the other place that we really let it drop is we didn't keep the phone charged up enough. If the phone had been charged up enough to last till the next morning, we would have found it and gotten it back.
Yeah, it's that's a very well. That's fair and not fair, because obviously your husband, he didn't forget, or I assume he didn't forget the night before. He was just working for 12 hours at a time.
Exactly.
And there are ways around that. Technology, I'm sure that you've tried as well as I have. One of my favorite are phone cases with built-in battery, batteries. So like you charge your case
Right.
and you charge your phone, and then you extend the battery life by as much as 100%. It's pretty impressive. But Sandy, we're about to head off into break. That's what the music means, and we'll be right back. So everyone, you're listening to Sandy Berger, and you can find more of her stuff over at CompuKiss, and of course over at ComputerAmerica.com. Everyone, stay tuned.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. That's 800-215-4461.
We are all Brother Wolf. 10 years ago, a group of locals banded together to create positive change. We took animals into our homes, held adoption events at local retailers, and talked to the community about our mission to help build a no-kill Asheville. A decade later, we have achieved so many victories for animals in need. There's been so much progress, yet there's still so much to do. As part of our year-long celebration, we encourage you to become a member of our special Compassionate Circle program. With a monthly donation of $10 or more, you will have behind-the-scenes access to the work we are doing at Brother Wolf. Our goal is to reach 1,000 members because we receive no government funding. Working together, we can help build and sustain no-kill communities. Learn more at compassionatecircle.bwar.org. We are a 501c3 tax-deductible organization.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 32 minutes past the hour as we continue on here with Sandy Berger. We are talking about, well, the heartbreak that can happen when you lose your phone. It's not an easy experience. And honestly, Sandy, I was just thinking of ways to make sure that would never happen again. And my immediate thought was something that we've talked about with suitcases, where, if you're traveling a lot and you don't want to lose track of maybe some carry-on that you have, you can affix your suitcase with a little Bluetooth tag. And if you get separated from your, by whatever the range of the Bluetooth is, be it 25, 30 feet, whatever, it will send you an alarm saying that, hey, you forgot it, or it's being taken, or whatever. And I was like, hey, if you could get one of those little, I believe Tracker's been on the show, Tile's been on the show, things that would slip into maybe some kind of cell phone case holder. But then I was thinking, but if the GPS tracker and if the Bluetooth tracker and the phone are essentially affixed together, the alarm's never going to go off. And if you do lose it, you have to be within 25 feet to find it again using a different device. So my immediate thought of a Bluetooth tracker really wouldn't be all that helpful. It's kind of hard to make sure that this would 100% never happen again. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I mean, and trust me, I know people. Craig's the same way. He has his phone, and he hates putting cases on it. I mean, it's weird. Like, he wouldn't even really let me put a screen protector on. And those things are like a fraction of a centimeter thick. And even he was like, no, it ruins my iPhone experience. Like, it protects your iPhone experience. I like cases. I don't mind if they get bulky. They're annoying for the first week, and then after that, you get used to them. Not a big deal. The only reason I switched from a battery, a battery charged case was simply because I was reviewing a waterproof one, and it just kind of never went back. But it's something we're trying, and it's hard to recommend something that's going to work in 100% of cases.
Front and prepare for that. And we should mention, Ben, that iPhones also have a Find Me phone. You're kind of, I'm not sure if there's apps on the iPhone for find other apps, but the Apple Find My phone is very good, and you should have that installed and be using that if you have an iPhone. With the Samsung phone, I had the choice either of using the Samsung or the Google Android one, Find My phone. And actually, you can have both installed at the same time. I mean, they're actually installed already. The Android one comes installed, but you have to have it turned on. You have to have the location on. So.
Yeah, my only experience was with Apple Find My phone or Find My iPhone, and hey, they get very specific. They get you within feet of the phone, and
that's right.
It's very impressive. So those are good, but again, only if the phone is turned on. And if someone and I can only assume that your husband actually left it somewhere by accident, maybe on a table or a counter or something. Yeah, there's not really a lost and found for the world. So.
Exactly.
Ouch. It's but hey, I'm glad that it worked out for you, and it sounds like AT&T was able to have a program that got you back up and running.
And it's really nice to be able to talk about two companies that really were helpful. AT&T was helpful, the insurance company was helpful, actually three companies, and the Samsung Find My phone was fantastic. So, as much as we talk about these different companies and things they do wrong and things we don't like, there are things that they do well, and this instance brought out three of them.
Right. All right. So there's that. And everyone, if you lose your phone, best of luck. And hey, turn on some of these services. I know that there's been a lot of talk about privacy and how much we let these companies into our lives. But hey, at least at the bare minimum, something, think of it like catastrophic insurance. If something really does go wrong, Find My phone will be, something you're happy you turned on. So
that's right. And one other thing, Ben, that we should mention, although just in passing, you should have your phone locked. You should have a code or a fingerprint or something to get into the phone. And a lot of people don't because they don't want that inconvenient.
That's so
but
weird.
It's not that inconvenience anymore.
And I've been using the fingerprint scanner, and even before that, I was punching in my code, 50 times a day, and like it's like honestly, it probably took me longer back in the day to unflip my phone because it was a folding phone. It probably took me longer to unflip my phone than it did to put in a 4 or 6 digit passcode. So
you're right. I hadn't thought about it that way, but that's a good point.
I never understood the the idea that you don't lock your phone. It's just
right.
Good practice. So
yep.
All right, so very good advice there. And now we're going to go ahead and move on to our next topic, and we have a couple more on the other side if we have time. I just wanted your feedback on them, but this is one that we mentioned when they kind of got started. MoviePass was a radical new idea. No one could believe that you could get such a deal, and it was amazing. And then the only other time we discussed it was when they said it's such a radical new idea that, hey, they actually aren't making any money. In fact, they're burning truckloads of it just to stay afloat. And that was kind of the last we talked about it. But I mean, MoviePass, like, it's weird because it's not only about MoviePass, but we've also seen rivals who have taken up the same business model somehow, raised capital, and are trying to do the exact same thing. So you are probably the first person we've had on the show that has actually used MoviePass. I think that a lot of people, when they first hear the service, they think, "Oh, okay, cool. I'm going to be able to go see the newest movie at 10 a.m. on a Thursday. That's just what I wanted." Like, I think that it's such a weird idea. A lot of people assume it's going to be very, very inconvenient or troublesome to use, and that's how they can kind of get away with it. But let's talk about MoviePass, your experience with it, and then we'll talk about the recent news.
Well, I first heard about MoviePass maybe 6 months ago, and I signed up about maybe 3 months ago, maybe four. They've had different scenarios over the years because they've been in existence since at least 2014. But in any case, what it is they were charging $9.99 a month. You sign up basically for a year pass, and you can go to the movies to see your shows, whatever show you want, once a day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you could go see 30 shows in a month if you want to. And that is amazing. And the detail is that MoviePass charges you that money, but they pay the shows the entire ticket price.
Right.
So they're losing money like mad.
Yeah, but that was probably one of the only ways that you could get a service like this out there, is because movie theaters are their own entities, and then the movies that they show are part of their own entities, be it these large distribution companies. And I can't imagine the paperwork and wrangling you'd have to do to get a deal with every single movie theater in the country, on top of every single production company that makes movies, and trying to sell an idea that, hey, we're going to pay you less money than normal. They would all tell you to go away. So, being able, like, that less restrictive once a day thing, that's something, but less restrictive than anything else we've heard of. It was a pretty new idea, and especially $10 a month. That's like less than some matinees.
One ticket.
Yeah. So
less than one ticket. And the point is that MoviePass thinks, like most people do, that movie tickets are too expensive. I mean, most people that you ask might have years ago gone to the movies quite a bit, but they don't now because the prices have gotten very expensive. So I think the idea of MoviePass was that they would get millions of users, and once they got these users, they would go to the movie theaters and deal with them to lower the prices for them. So instead of them paying $10 a ticket, they would only pay $5 or something like that.
Right.
Well, they're still in the thralls of trying to do that. But let me tell you a little bit about my experience with MoviePass.
Sure.
I signed up. I was actually going to write a story about it, and so I went to the MoviePass website, and they had a special promotion for $7.99 a month. And I looked at that and said, well, $10.99 or $9.99 a month was a great price, but $7.99 I just can't pass up.
Right.
So I bought a ticket for myself and one for my husband. And the way that it's handled is, you charge it, and they send you the credit. So they send you a MoviePass credit card in the mail, and it's actually a MasterCard, but it's only good at the movie theaters, and of course, only good at movie theaters that MoviePass works with. So they send you this in the mail, and then when you decide there's a show you want to see anywhere, it doesn't have to be in your neighborhood. You can travel wherever you want. And you go to the app, install the app on your phone, and you look to see where that movie is playing. And if it's playing someplace nearby or whatever, you say, okay, I'm going to do that. And then you take your phone with you to the show. And when you're within maybe 100 feet of the movie theater, you press click, I want to see this movie today, and it automatically authorizes your MoviePass card. So you then take your MoviePass card up to the box office, give it to the man. He gives you a receipt, and you're in.
That simple.
Relatively simple. They have at the beginning, I guess they had some fraud with this, so now they restrict it to you have to have the MoviePass app on your phone, only one phone per MoviePass. So in other words, a husband and wife can't both use the same
Right.
pass or whatever. So that's really nothing, and you can't see the same movie more than once. That's the biggest restriction that they have. Of
Which
course,
isn't terrible. Yeah.
the movie theater has to accept MoviePass, and we have a small, revitalized old movie house here that has a lot of really unusual shows, which I absolutely love going to, and they are part of MoviePass. So you just go into the app or you go to MoviePass website and find out how many shows in your neighborhood are available, and there's a lot of them. Now the other restriction is you cannot go to see 3D movies. But since I don't like 3D movies, that didn't make a hill of beans difference to me.
Yeah.
And the idea here, and the way it really does work, is you go to see movies you wouldn't normally see. Movies that maybe weren't highly rated or weren't talked about and yet look pretty good. You can go and see those movies, and you can do it 7 days a week if you like.
Right, and I guess that's that's a question we should ask you, is that especially if there's a movie theater that shows offbeat movies, not just the biggest blockbusters, but maybe special runs, things like that. Like, did the idea that it wouldn't cost you anything, did that make you more likely to go to the theater?
Oh, definitely, because it's something that I've already paid for. So now I'm going to the show. If I go once or twice a week, it's all free. It doesn't cost me anything,
Right.
unless I buy popcorn.
And I guess that was, I'm sure, somewhere in the investor relations, something that they could say, hey, if we're sending this many more people to movie theaters, that's this many more people potentially buying a slushie and a popcorn and potentially making movie theaters that much, because the price of a ticket doesn't necessarily always go to the movie theater. The bulk of it goes to the producer of the movie. So pretty interesting, but I mean, $10 a month, it's still very, very inexpensive. And, we're looking at an article here from CNBC, obviously their money side, and talking about MoviePass. Just to throw out some numbers, just to, kind of give you an idea, was that they were valued at about almost $300 million in October of last year. So it's been, about 7 months. And according to people, and this was, people again that looked at their books, essentially said that they are currently worth 50 million instead of 300 million. They burn through about $20 million a month, and they only have enough cash to last about 2 more months.
I have read all that. That stuff has just come out recently. And to be honest with you, that's one of the reasons that I bought the tickets a few months ago, because there was always that possibility that they would go out of business. But I really don't believe that it will go out of business. They have accumulated more than 2 million subscribers. Now, I don't know how many millions of subscribers they're going to need to have any leverage with the movie theaters. They must have an idea of that. And MoviePass itself say that they have enough money to last.
Yeah, I'm sure they say that. But something happened recently. I'm not sure how much you've covered it, Sandy, but there's the GDPR, I think it's called. It's the data protection resolution that came out of Europe. And essentially, if you use any kind of Google services or Facebook or anything like that, as someone who does advertising, then you'll know that everyone is scrambling to comply as best they can with this new set of data protections. And MoviePass, yes, you pay the $10 a month, and that's how they make some of their money. The other part was the app that you talked about, and a lot of what MoviePass was promising its investors was that we were going to collect this large user base, which, you're absolutely right. They were going to essentially collectively bargain with movie theaters. But on top of that, MoviePass got into some trouble a while ago because they were tracking people as they were not only entering and leaving the theater, but even beyond that, like where they went next. Essentially, MoviePass was a giant a giant data analytic vacuum, and it would suck up any data it could and then package it and sell it. And they were going to sell it to movie companies and be like, here are the customers that are going to see your movie. Here's what they do. Here's where they go. Here's what they see. Here's how likely they are to see something else like this. And I guess it's just kind of poor timing that new data protections are coming in when MoviePass was going to make a big part of its money on selling users' data.
Well, I don't know how much they were planning on doing with that. They did turn that feature off, though, several months ago.
They did, but
I think about 2 months ago, they did turn that off. Now, I'm not saying they don't have data on me because I do keep my location services on.
Yeah, the only thing I need to mention is that the owner is called Helios and Matheson Analytics. That's the company that owns MoviePass. So the owner of MoviePass is an analytic company.
Right.
So. That's the only thing I needed to mention was that, that's kind of part of their business model. And either way, the business model does not seem to be working quite yet.
Right, exactly. It's not, and it'll be interesting. And the reason I'm talking about this is because I think it's going to be very interesting to watch and to see what happens. To see if they can pull this off.
What's best case scenario? Is it MoviePass suddenly hits a surge and has 5 million more subscribers, is able to pay its bills, and lowers movie prices for everyone? Or what's best case scenario?
The best case scenario is that they become successful in whatever way they need to do that, and that does lower the price of movie tickets. So that's the whole scenario in a nutshell. Is movie tickets are too expensive, let's lower the price. I don't expect that, and they've gone through a lot of different renditions. In other words, a couple weeks ago they were working with iHeartRadio to give you a free subscription, but under that scenario they only allowed you to see 4 movies a month. Now, in my case, 4 movies a month would be fine because I probably I wouldn't go more often. I might be going more often than that, but I might not. So basically, they keep changing their stance to find the right place to settle down so that they can make this work. And like you say, so far they haven't done that, and they've gotten themselves in a little bit of trouble. We'll see what happens next.
I really think that they could get away with allowing people to see a lot less movies. 30 movies a month is very excessive. And if you use that, like if you were in an occupation where you could take your lunch break and take a 2-hour lunch break every single day and go see a movie, that would strain, I think, any company. And I can't imagine that that's going to stick around. I think that the one limit per movie, that's probably a really, really good idea, just to keep people from being like, here, take my phone, take my MoviePass, and go see that. I just saw it yesterday. It was great. Check it out. I feel like a lot more restrictions, and unfortunately, I think raising the cost because let's face it, they're charging less than a subscription to Netflix, and they're letting you see movies in theaters. That's impressive. Right. So I don't think that MoviePass in its current iteration is going to survive, but maybe a MoviePass that is, a lot more restrictive could actually make a difference. So I guess we'll see.
We'll see. It'll be fun to watch and see what happens next.
Yep. And all right, so that gives us time to cover a couple of stories that we didn't get to over the past couple of days. Just wanted your reaction on these. No need to really go too far in depth. Actually, one that I really did, if anyone out there was listening yesterday, we covered the Google Voice Assistant making a phone call to make an appointment with a hair salon for a woman's haircut. Sandy, did you happen to catch that?
I did. I have not yet listened to the entire Google press conference that they had, their I/O conference. but I did listen to that part because I'm always so interested in the Google Assistant.
Yeah, creepy. Like I was about to use the word impressive. Creepy is the word I'm going to throw out.
Yeah, it is. What it is, just for explanation to people, is that if you're having trouble making a reservation someplace because you can't do it online, you just tell your Google Assistant to go and make this reservation at this local place that you want to visit, and you tell Google when and if it happens, and or you want it to happen, and Google will actually place the call for you and kind of pretend that it is a human, because the
Right.
voice evidently sounds very human, and I do find that creepy. I really do.
It was creepy, and then beyond that, and really that's what the CEO of Google was saying, was that a number of small businesses out there, they have little to no online presence, let alone a way to actually have like a reservation form on their website, and or to book appointments online. So this is their intermediary, this is their bridge to those smaller businesses. And listening to the digital assistant, only about once or twice did I hear at the very end of her sentences, I'm going to say her because it's an AI that sounded like a woman. Only once or twice did I say, wow, she sounded robotic, kind of, sort of, maybe a little there at the end, but in a lot of ways, very, very human. The inflection, the intonation, a lot of it was just spot on. And that was really cool to hear.
They've got the AI voice down without a doubt. I understand that they're coming out with 4 or 5 new voices within the next couple months.
Including John Legend, right?
Yeah, including John Legend. I mean, that's pretty amazing. Google right now can do male or female voice, where Alexa can only do a female voice. But they add 4 or 5 other voices. That's impressive.
Yeah, they have that, and then on top of that, there was that news about Google, and again, we know that you like digital assistants. What did you think, real quick, about the idea that Cortana and Amazon's Echo Assistant, don't want to say her name, but Cortana and the other one are going to work together so that you could tell one to open the other, and they would both respond, and then they would kind of give each other commands as if they were, people themselves. Essentially, and really, I don't think that I'll just say it. I don't think that Alexa has a lot of skills to pull from Cortana, but I think Cortana gains a lot by working with Alexa. Do you think? Or
I
what do you think
agree
about
with that, but I just don't see the point of I see the point of having 2 voice assistants or 3. So I have Cortana, I have Alexa, I have Google.
that?
And they each do different things. I don't see much in them working with each other.
Really?
But I could be wrong. Maybe I'm missing something. The one voice assistant thing announcement that really got me going recently. Did you hear about Amazon Blueprints?
No, Blueprints. I have not.
Amazon Blueprints is the Amazon Echo. Will now allow you to customize things that you want Alexa to say or do. So, for instance, I've heard of a little girl that went up and she asked Alexa, "Do you know something about my toy rabbit? My toy rabbit. His name is such and such." Well, now you can actually program Alexa so that she would know the name of that toy rabbit's his name or your child's name.
That's pretty cute.
It's absolutely adorable. It's the idea of customization, very easy to do, done on templates that you just fill in. It's no programming, nothing like that. But you can actually, you can make a list of your own favorite jokes to have Alexa tell.
So a bit more personalization within, within that, within Alexa. So that's pretty cool. Sandy,
Exactly.
the music means that we're just out of time. And I want to say thank you so much for coming on the program once again. And
All right.
of course, sharing your wisdom. So if people want to find out more, you mentioned that you're redoing the website, but if people want to find out more about you, where should they look?
Just go to compukiss.com, and that's COMPUKISS.com.
All right. And
Look to see all of you there.
Yep, and we have a link to that in the show notes as well. So in the meantime, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. And be sure to catch us tomorrow, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, as usual, where we will be talking to strategy analytics. And yeah, we're going to talk all about, I think mobile data. But everyone, again, have a great day. Thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.